So for those of you who are here, thank you so much for your willingness to sit in on this conversation. I think, I don't know what you all know about what we're doing here, but the city has been tasked with a police reform in collaboration with the community. Governor Cuomo sent out an executive order beginning of the summer as a result of some of the events in Minneapolis with George Floyd, and really wanted to make sure that all of our policies and procedures within the police department we've looked at them, we've had a chance to discuss them with community members and get some input on them. And once we've pretty much heard from a variety of different people, we have to submit a report by the beginning of April. And so what we've started doing, we broke people up into different constituency groups because we wanted people to feel as though they had a group of people with which they had a common experience or common understanding with regard to law enforcement. And so we've had African Americans, this is our Hispanic/Latino group. We've had faith-based, we've had not-for-profit, we've had LGBTQ, we've had businesses. And so any of these groups that might have any kind of interaction or connection with law enforcement in the city of Jamestown, we've spoken to them in kind of their own cohorts. And so what I first want to make sure that you know is that the session is being recorded. And that's because we want to be completely transparent with what we do. However, no one here wants anyone to feel as though they can't speak to their experiences or what they believe. So please know that we are here because we need to hear things, because that's the only way we're going to make things better. And so, you can either speak from experience or personal experience or experiences that friends or relatives may have had with regard to law enforcement here in Jamestown. So with that, does anybody have any questions or anybody want to add anything?
Not as of right now.
Okay, so these are some general questions, but which we might get through kind of quickly. But at any point in time, if we kind of go off in a different direction, that's fine, because the more information that we're able to collect, the better we're able to glean information and put together a report that's reflective of the communities that we serve. So I just want to make sure you don't think that after I've asked my questions, we're all done. You can go in any direction that you want to, because we want you to feel comfortable doing that. So my first question is, what do you feel is the role of the local police department here in Jamestown?
What do we think the role of the Jamestown Police Department
should be? What do you think the role is? Yes.
Well, I mean, I guess across the board is supposed to be protect and serve the public, right? I mean, that's the main thing that it's supposed to be, right?
Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't know. You have to tell me what you think it is.
I mean, I guess that's what it's supposed to be, but with my experience, I guess I'll go ahead and since I opened up my mouth, I might as well continue. My experiences with this is that I've had bad and great experiences in Jamestown from the time that I came here in 1988 all the way to this present time. And I am thankful for the experiences that I've had, believe it or not. Some are easier to swallow than others, but I also would like to add to that I don't have a halo over my head. I've earned my stripes. With that being said, if it wasn't for the JPD, with them being involved with the community, such as with my experience, I was an athlete. So I would see them around the community, such as Vicky James would have events with us playing with the police. And we ended up building a relationship with a lot of the Jamestown Police Department, which was a great experience and whatnot. But as I got older and whatnot in my college years, nobody could tell me anything. Nobody could tell me anything. And I had some experiences with that, and I lived to learn. And if I didn't get disciplined for my actions that I spoke, if they looked the other way, I probably would not be sitting here to be able to talk to you guys about the experiences I had. Mm-hmm. But with that being said, I would like to say that I trimmed my life around with many people having a hand involved. And I like to say that I'm still trucking forward and striving for the best, but unfortunately, sometimes my past comes in, and not, with me, I would like to say I'm an adult. So, but my past sometimes has an input when it comes to things, such as the recent most experience was with my son trying out for a baseball team. And I had a history with one of the officers who's a coach. And I did get into an altercation with that officer. And unfortunately, my son is not me. My son is nowhere me. And I'll tell you what, he has a hell of a mother who, man, she rocks my world, and she supports us, and we've done very well. And I will toot my own horn on that. Nobody has to tell me nothing. We've done very well with that kid in many ways. The way he carries himself, his demeanor. He carries a 98 GPA. But it hurt me that I jumped through so many loops, and done so many things to show the community, show the people in the community that, I was young. I made my mistakes and I earned them. Never really pointed fingers or anything. I'm not trying to point fingers. I'm just saying that, man, I've done a hell of a job. And thanks to anybody that's on this call right now, you've been involved in my life. And I appreciate every single one of you guys and whatnot. But it's tough to swallow that. I mean, I'm not expecting my son to be making every possible team or anything like that. But everybody knows, the Gonzalez family, they know that those kids do a good job. And for my son to be cut because of my past experience with this officer, it's tough to swallow. And he deserved a fair shot. And the only reason why he didn't get that fair shot, and I'm gonna be honest, is because of my past. And I don't know what to do anymore to change that. I mean, they've given me all the opportunity to do right, and I've taken advantage of it. And still, I mean, I had my kids and I'm teaching them the right way. I hold my kids responsible, and they're disciplined. And I became a father, not just to become a father. I mean, I became a father because it was something I wanted, something that I wanted to do. And with my past experience, I knew I could do good because I knew what I needed as a kid. And I gave that to my son. And to watch my son not be able to be successful because of my past experience, it's a tough pill to swallow. It's a tough pill to swallow. So with that being said, I have become a business owner in the city of Jamestown. There's times I have a tree service. There's times where the traffic plays a role. And there's a couple police officers that I've gone to school with that are awesome, or that I've met that are great. And they do me the favor by helping us out with traffic and with everything with safety. Nothing, I'm not privileged or anything. They just see that we're hardworking guys and whatnot. We could use a little bit of a hand here and there. And it's neat. It's neat to watch them guide us along, give us a wave, and my guys are proud, and I'm proud, but then again, unfortunately, I did a good job when I was young to kind of mess up things. And I wish I didn't, but it's made me who I am today. And I just don't want it to trickle down to my kids.
Thanks.
And it's already showing.
Okay. Thank you very much.
No problem.
Hey, Freddie. Freddie just hopped in. Are you by yourself or are you with Giselle? Let's see, Freddie's on mute.
Yeah, I'm almost done.
Okay. Well, Freddie's in. I hope he says something. Sabrina or Joe Alexis, do you have anything to share about what you believe the role in the police department can be? Hey, Freddie.
I definitely do. First of all, just to play off of what Ricky said in regards to protecting and serving. Yes, the police officers in this town need to protect and serve equally and justly. They need to realize that they have to have humanity, integrity, and professionalism, and be courageous all at the same time. I mean, that's their job. We are pretty much paying their salaries as taxpayers. Doesn't matter what color we are, doesn't matter what our background is. At the end of the day, we are all citizens of this community. We should all be treated with respect by them. We should all be treated as if they have to protect us, because they do. That is their job. They also have to have a little bit more transparency of what's going on within the force. And pretty much be open to learning about pretty much all the different cultures that live in the town which they serve. Because the only way that we're going to have an understanding here is if we really get down to the nitty gritty of it and get to know each other as a community. And that's all I got to say.
Hey, Freddie, the question was, what do you feel is the role of the police department in our community?
Well, I think for the time that I've been here, 25 years, I think, I want to say back in the day, the police was more involved with the community. I think for the past maybe 10, 12 years, I think police is non-existent in our community. I remember back in the day, I mean, the police will come to the softball field. We would play softball with the police. We would get to know them. Like Sabrina was saying, they would bring their family. Everybody brought a plate to pass, you know. I think we gotten away from, I think what's needed too is more Black and Hispanic police in this neighborhood. You're putting a white officer, and I'm not a racist, I'm just using it like that. You're putting a white officer in a Black community, he don't know a damn thing about us. Or a Hispanic community, he don't know nothing about us. It's nice that once in a while a police car goes by, they get out of the car, they play a little basketball with the kids. Yeah, that's show and tell. Okay, I just think that we should go back to foot patrols in some kind of way where the officers can know the community better. You got two cops in a car talking all day, but they don't get out of the car to talk to anybody. Then the only time they do get out of the car to talk to somebody is when things go wrong. And, you know, when you don't talk to people in your community and you don't show them that you love them and you care for them, the community shuts down. And especially the way things are going right now with this pandemic, you know, that everybody's hiding and or everybody's not listening and people are dying and getting sick. I think there's a lot of love in this community. I really do think so. But a lot of bad things are happening. You know, racism is like, it's okay to be racist now. It's okay to walk down the street and call somebody, and I'll say it, the N-word, a nigger, you know, or a spick, or whitey, you know what I'm saying? Because white people get raced upon too, you know? So I just think it's a lot of bad things going on. And if we're going to be doing this, I think it's a lot of change that needs to be made in the police department. You know, as far as, and I mean it by the good, I don't mean it by bad. But in all my years been here, I haven't run into a lot of nasty cops or anything like that, you know? Mm-hmm. I just think it needs to come from the police of hiring more Latinos. This community is getting big in Latinos. It's getting real big compared to when I first came here. So let's show them some respect by, you got one Dominican cop here. That's all you got here. It's one cop. And I think there's only one Black cop, I think, that I've seen. And then all these young cops that are coming in here, graduating and things like that, that's not looking too good. For me as a community member, it doesn't look good on them. That's all I gotta say. Sorry if I talk too long.
Love you, Freddie. You can say whatever you want to say. Joe Alexis, do you have anything to add, or are we okay, or did everybody cover you? I want to make sure everybody gets a chance to speak.
Well, when it comes to this topic, there's someone so sensitive. So first, I commend Ricky for doing the best he can with his son and his family, and knowing that a past can hunt you, because I'm in the same boat with when it comes to Ricky. I myself have a past, but also the past doesn't determine my future. So I have tackled the future with heads on, and life lessons. That's just part of it. I told one person once that I never follow role models because I didn't have it. So what I did, I surround myself with people that I didn't want to become like, so I know what kind of lifestyle I want to avoid, and it kind of paid off. But when it comes to a police officer in the community of Jamestown, if I am an officer and I wake up every morning and I proud officer, it's my dream job. I'm doing what I think it's the career that I chose. I want to get to know the people that I'm serving. I want to get to know the community that I'm serving. I want to get to know, like Freddie is saying, like Sabrina is saying, I want to get to know the population that we're serving. I want to know what the struggles are. However, I also want to be safe. I want to come home. I have a wife, I have kids, I have a life. This is my career. It goes both ways. So there's my wife.
Sorry, they were sitting in the waiting room and I didn't even notice it.
Who's talking? I don't know.
Joe Alexis.
I can't see his face anymore.
Oh, he's got his.
He's incognito. Oh, you got. Oh my God! Look who's there. Ricky, give us up.
That's up, Freddie.
So when it comes to being an officer in Jamestown, and I'm Hispanic, I think that I will fit in pretty well in a lot of areas in the community because of my nationality and how the Hispanic and the minority is growing. But if I am an American officer who is born and raised here, and I don't have much of a clue, what is it that the struggles are out there behind closed doors, and I believe that the right thing will be once in a while buy a couple boxes of pizza, go into those communities or those kids, and kind of put my badge down, put my gun down for a little bit, and let them know, hey, I made it here because of these reasons. There's a right from wrong, and there's consequences for both. So if you choose to do wrong, you're enforcing me to do my job. But if you choose to do right, or if you're stuck in a pickle and you need my assistance, I'm there for you. I'm willing to help out. But once again, if you put me in the predicament where I have to do my job, I'm going to have to do my job. That's just kind of, transparency, kind of communication. I believe it works in everything. It works in relationship. It works at work. It works in communities. Communication is key. So that's when it comes to being a police officer. That's my part.
Thanks, Joe Alexis. We welcome Yanira and Miguel and Anna. And the question to the group was, if you wanted to add anything, what do you feel is the role of police officers in the community?
I feel like the role of police officer is to protect and serve, but sometimes, I think I got off of it. Are you there? Okay, sorry. My phone went wacky. Sometimes, for me and my perspective, I fear them automatically when I see them, and I should feel protected. I shouldn't feel fear because of all the injustice, because of everything that's going on. It has made me aware that I am, colored. I am of different skin. I am of different culture. So it scares me to dress a certain way, or to be who I want to be, or have my hair a certain way because they'll have prejudgment of me. So when it comes to protect and serve, for me, it really, and that's not, every police officer, because I feel like there are Hispanics on the force now. It did take a long time for that to happen. So for me, cultural competency is very a key for me. So that they're aware that,
that prejudgment shouldn't be there just because you dress a certain way or just because you have a different style from everybody else. But yeah, the protect and serve part really, really hits me because it's like, okay, you're here to protect and serve, but I feel fear. I'm scared of you. I don't feel that. So that'd be my add-on.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I don't know, Miguel or Anna, do you want to add anything or
No, I think it's basically, I never had run-ins with the law. So in certain respects, as a Hispanic, I try to be a good citizen. And part of being a good citizen is abiding by the law. Because I have not had in my lifetime any run-ins, it made me think and analyze very deeply that I'm aware that there is what you call racial profiling that occurred because maybe the car has tinted windows, for example. Just because it has tinted windows, it doesn't give the officer the right to say there's activity going on within the vehicle, which it does happen. And I think it's wrong. I think they should give them funding for, let's say, a training in that aspect of when you run into a Hispanic or Black or from other ethnicity, we should have a proper protocol of just stepping back a little bit and use the proper analysis based on what you're viewing, not to jump too quickly and judge the person by the skin of the color or the ethnicity. I'm totally against that, but I believe that they should have more training, more awareness in how to approach certain situations.
thank you,
Can I
Miguel.
add to that?
Go ahead, Freddie.
Was that an officer that was speaking before, Alex?
Oh, Joe Alexis?
Yeah, is he an officer?
Which one? Joe
The
Alexis
one that
or
was speaking before earlier, if he was a cop.
no, we don't have I don't we have no.
Well, there was a gentleman that was speaking earlier. It comes back down to what we're all saying. If a cop wants to go home and feel safe, then be part of the community. You can't be safe if all you do for 8 hours, you sit in the car and you don't know nobody. So automatically, if somebody calls you of color or another, a different race or anything, the first thing, like when you get into that place, you panicking. You're geared already for something to happen to you because you don't know the community, you don't know the area, you don't know people. So your first thought is, I'm gonna get out of here. I'm gonna keep my hand by my gun. I gotta go home. And when cops keep saying that all the time, I want to go home. Well, I want to go home, and it seems so
Right.
more now than often. A lot of Blacks and Hispanic brothers ain't going home.
Yeah.
They're not going home. Why? Because I feel that the minute that officer gets out of that car, that officer is not prepared for that neighborhood. That officer has never engaged with that kind of a crowd. Number one, and number two, he's a young officer that all his life he probably grew up a little privileged, and let's be honest, white privilege. Didn't go to school with a bunch of Black kids or Hispanic kids, or maybe he got bullied by them, and this is his opportunity of being the guy now. And I've been around that. When a cop gets out of his car, I don't even get to say anything, and right away they want to be heard, and you ain't got no right.
Right.
So it's all of this comes down to the police being policed and the police being a part of the community. Doesn't matter, like my man said, it doesn't matter if you ever ran into a problem with a cop, because that could come at any given time.
Mhm.
So just because you went 25 years when nobody's saying nothing to you, doesn't mean you're gonna go another 25 years when nobody's saying something to you. And I think and our youth, parents got to take a big action on the way they're raising their kids. These are kids raising kids.
Mhm.
All right, let's be honest. These are kids raising kids. Mothers are smoking pot with their kids. They don't want to be a part of their kids' life, so they hand them a phone or they give them something to keep them away. They come home whatever time they want. They do whatever they want. They disrespect their own parents. So why you think they're gonna respect the cop?
Right.
So also as parents, we have to teach our youth that police officers need to be respected. If you want respect from somebody, you got to give respect. You got to
Right.
earn respect. And I see a lot of this youth here running wild.
Yeah.
And my wife's a probation officer, and I feel sorry for my wife. She goes through a lot. She sees the same kids over and over and over. Every time you turn around and you start something for the youth, and Vic, you know what I'm saying? Back in the day,
Okay.
you start something for the youth, it starts working out good, it goes 1 year, funding runs out, now the kids are back in the street.
Right.
You get the
Right.
kids to finally trust you, and then
Yes, sir.
when they feel that you turned your back on them. Like if it was me that said, hey, listen, I can't hang with you no more, man. And
Right.
Freddie, man, you gave me your word. No, we ran out of money.
Right.
Yeah.
And it hurts that,
Yeah.
Yeah.
25 years ago, man, I would walk down Jamestown, everybody, good morning, good morning. How are you? People all over, there was jobs everywhere there. Now you walk out here, man, and now that I'm driving the carts bus, I see so much. I see so much abandoned houses, so many houses falling apart, and I don't see nothing being done. I
Exactly.
don't see no jobs. Everybody said there's jobs. Well, you
No.
better get a job at 3 different McDonald's if you want to pay your rent.
Yeah. That's a fact.
That's all you see.
Yeah.
Everybody say job. So, okay, so they open up a new pizza shop on Fairmount. Okay, great. McDonald's. In order for you to get benefits in McDonald's, you got to work 37 hours, right? So what they do not McDonald's, Walmart. So what they do is they hire 5 different people, and they give everybody 5 hours. So nobody gets the 37 hours, so they don't got to give you insurance.
Right. Right.
So who can survive with something like that?
No,
Everybody say,
nobody.
oh, but that's why everybody's on welfare. Well, let me put it to you like this as an honest person. If welfare gonna pay my rent, welfare gonna pay my food, welfare gonna do this for me, and I ain't gotta be killing myself with 15 jobs and never see my family, never be around my kids, well, I'll take the welfare.
Yeah.
And I'm just being honest.
Yeah.
The majority of the people that are honest and caring about who they are. I'm a proud Hispanic man, I've always worked. I don't believe in taking handouts. But what I'm saying is, if I have to put a choice between raising my children that now they go to schools by themselves, they go here by themselves, and I got to worry about it. My kids are doing things, all of our kids are doing things. We're not going to sit here and act like my son is perfect. No way in hell.
No.
Okay. But at least I could still talk to him, and he still respects to that point where nowadays kids, you try to talk to them and they tell you, get away from me.
Yeah.
You don't know what you're talking about. You got gray hair. You don't know nothing about what's going on. And we losing our youth, man.
Yeah.
We're losing them very bad.
That's true. We
Very bad.
So if you were to make like some recommendations, I know you said, Freddie, going in and play basketball, that's kind of like window dressing. If we were to start working on some sort of, proposal and plan and action steps and goals and things like that, what would you really want to see if you could be as specific as possible? If not, that's okay.
You gotta understand something. Sports revolve around youth. You get a kid to play basketball, you're gonna get him to do something else.
Yeah.
Because if you tell a kid, if we do midnight basketball, the way I've recommended many, many times, you come in that gym, you don't just play basketball. You come with your notebook. You got a teacher that is willing to give up his time. A couple of teachers that are willing to give up their time. You could get striders in there or something. When you come to play ball, You got to show me some homework. You got to do work first. And we're going to follow up on you. Then you can play ball all night. When them kids come out of there at 5, midnight basketball in New York City, we need to do that. You come out of there at 5 in the morning, man, you going home. You ain't saying, hey, yo, you guys want to go smoke a blunt or something? No, man, you tired. You want to go home. So and you instill that. You do the boxing program like we used to have it to Excel way back in the day. You teach them this is a license that you're carrying. This is a weapon. You hurt somebody, you going to jail. And once again, with the homework aspects, you don't come in here cursing. You don't come. But the problem here is that the people that get hired to do things like this are afraid of the kids that come in there. You know, they'll turn around. You turn around, and that ain't gonna happen to me. I know that ain't gonna happen to Ricky. But they gonna walk in there, and if you tell them, "Can you please show me your homework?" and they say, "Hey, yo, man, get out of here before I crack you." Okay, go play. See, you gotta hire not tough people, but people that know the streets, people that know the game, and people that are gonna tell them, "Hey, listen." So you gotta go. And don't curse, don't say nothing, because you ain't scaring nobody. I have always told everybody, don't let this white hair fool you. This white hair has been a lot of places. You know, so I just feel that we have to do that, but you got to keep the funding always there. You can't start this and then a year later you turn around and say, that's it, it's done. You can't. You got to get funding for like the next 10 years. And the program's got to work. And every year you have to prove this program works in front of a committee, because you want a committee to judge you. You just don't want to be paying me or paying anybody else because I'm doing this. I have to answer to you how successful I've been. Where are my faults? Where can I be better? You know, nowadays we just give somebody a job because they're family members, because that grant gonna run out, and you can give this family member 20 grand a year for at least 2-3 years. Come on, that kid don't know nothing.
Now, if I could,
the love of Jamestown that I learned when I moved here was the love that I saw. Like I said, everybody saying good morning. You know, cops back in the day were walking around. They made it their business. That gentleman right there that's sitting right there, he was one of those guys. See, and we got to get the cops back in faith. Let's not keep blaming the cops, man, because our youth does a lot of stupid stuff. Okay, they just looking for, you get 5 or 6 of these clowns together and the cop shows up, somebody's gonna say something stupid. So you want to act like the tough guy. But you get that guy walking by himself, he'll say, "Hey, how you doing, officer?" See? But when they gang up, you know, they you know, everybody for them, it's not for themselves, we're a gang. But little do they know, if that cop grabs you, the other 4 are running. And you're left alone. And that's what they gotta be learning. And if we don't do this, the way I see Jamestown in another 10 years, they ain't gonna be no Jamestown. This is gonna be an old folks home. That's all this is gonna be.
And if I could add
all they're building now is old folks homes.
If I could add on to Freddie,
you know,
Freddie, if I could add on to you, I know when you said it's just show and tell, and it is a lot of things, but I wish they would do more with the community instead of demanding respect. When I grew up, I learned that a handshake, and during my time, obviously times have changed.
Yeah, my time too.
A handshake is something, means something.
Means more than anything.
And you earn respect, and instead of demanding. And I think that's where a lot of things fall into it. That you know, not all of them. And like I said, I don't want to seem that I'm just taking shots directly at one thing, but a lot of these officers, I mean, you wear the badge, but you got to earn that respect, buddy. You can't demand it like the way you've been doing it. And when you said the things are for show and tell, you know, I know that the police officers do stuff with the community, but the only times they get involved with the community is, and don't get me wrong, it's great, but when it's Hispanic Heritage Month, Black History Month, why only during those times? Like you said, Freddie, because that's kind of show and tell. And to me,
like you said.
To me, that's half-assed doing things. Why are we doing half-assed things?
What happened to the Black Lives Matter things? Right?
Right.
We had all the marches. We did all those marches, right? People did marches, came out here in front of City Hall and did whatever they did. Where is it now? It's gone.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So
But
Anna, I think Anna wanted to say something.
Sorry, Anna.
You guys get you all worked up here.
Is the passion that Freddie feels with this topic. I understand you, Freddie. Good evening, everyone. Happy New Year.
Mhm.
I want to share something that happened to us last Sunday, where we were taking our son Ludani to his new journey to enjoy the Marines. And when we were at the gas station, we saw these Afro-American, two Afro-American guys that were stopped at the gas station by three police cars.
It was like four. It was in it was a state trooper, four state trooper cars. Is that in a gas station on Route 60?
60. I was in the store, so when I came out, my son says, "This is ridiculous." I said, "Why? What happened?" And he said, "It's just two guys, three vehicles," and they asked him if they can check inside the car. They already say yes, but they have the right to say no. If they say no, they can do it. And I say, "How do you know this?" "Mom, I'm Hispanic, but I look black. I'm Hispanic, but I look black." And I've been looking videos, and I've been educating myself in case that I go through this situation where they stop me and they think I'm black, and they want to get into my car, and I have, I'm learning the right words to say to them. And I want you to study because you're Hispanic, and they can do this to you too. And you, as a woman, you freak out. You are going to freak out, and you won't know what to say. And I said, but why I have to be, it's good the information that you are sharing with me, but why I have to be so concerned in case that they stop me in a way that I have to answer to them. I know manners, I know how to interact with people, but why certain words, why certain, like, let's say, lingo, pardon me because I don't know too much the grammar, right? But he's so worried if I go through this situation, nothing happens to me. This new generation, some of them, they careless. But I noticed with my son that he do care. He wants to be respectful. He wants to direct to the authority with respect. And I took that as a
Yeah, I would like to add something. I mean, in this experience that we saw this happening, and this it was a black person, that was pulled over, and to me it was so ridiculous. Why you need four cop cars in the scene for one person? And to me, it was to me, I understood as, because he was black, we need four cop cars. It was like an insult to me, even though I was not involved directly with that situation, but it was so uncomfortable. And to me, when I went to take my son there, I was thinking about this, and I said, well, since we're going to Zoom, I'm going to mention that, because to me, It
I got
should never
scared.
happen. It should never happen.
I
It's
got
not.
scared when I get out of the store and I saw so many.
But yet, I was looking for, like, let's say if there was any, if they were to use excessive force or any physical altercations, I would have probably taken out my phone and I would have recorded that. Definitely, because you see things, and then you start wondering, why did he get stopped? Because he was black. I don't know. I don't know. But it seems to me that it was unnecessary because one, it could be, what is it? Two cops per, there's usually one cop or maybe another, they need another cop car to have some kind of witness or whatever, you know. But when you
They
see
have the
four,
cameras.
yeah, they got the camera. So I don't know. I mean, I put it out there because that was a vivid experience that we went through, and I said, no, we have to mention this.
So
I
I
mean,
just, does somebody want to say something? Because I think I want to summarize at least what I've heard so far, and then
Okay.
please add. So I think what I've heard so far from Sabrina and other people is, and Yanira, there needs to be a level of cultural competence within the police force to understand how to interact with different cultures and how to, you know, and how to feel comfortable with different cultures. So that interaction with the police does not seem as stressful for the police officer or for the person who has asked for the police. So that might be a recommendation that could be made. I'm also hearing, if, and please correct me if I'm wrong, I'm also hearing a level of engagement that we used to have is no longer visible. The police, you know, when we're young, we're told the police officers are our friends, and every little kids want to grow up to be police officers. However, that whole level of engagement and real connection with a community, regardless of what community might be, is not there anymore. There's no intentionality with creating relationships, and so that's
Right.
something we also need to look into. Freddie also mentioned, you know, programming and, you know, things Vicky used to do. And so while it may not be something specifically to the police department, it does bear in mind that we need to look at maybe perhaps looking at police reform from a holistic point of view with regard to who are the funders and who can help support these programs, because being a city council person, I can tell you the police budget is not huge. It's
Gabby Foundation.
Yeah, so we need to look at some of these other players in the community who also have the vested interest to begin to invest in our communities, and that might be through working with law enforcement to do something like that. Miguel, you talked about, you know, where was I going with that? You know, the use of force. And what is use of force and what is appropriate detainment. So it may mean a community piece for people to kind of recognize, is this the appropriate steps that the officer is taking, or is this officer being a little too you know, heavy-handed with his approach? Those are the kind of the big buckets, but please, you know, add anything else that you think that I may have missed, or you want to make sure that you add, or an experience that you've had, because again, like I said, this is important information that we need to know about and we need to be thinking about. Sabrina?
My thing is, I just wrote it down. I said, when did police work just become a paycheck? When I was growing up, we had mentorship programs. We had the DARE program. That definitely needs to be brought back. Also, we should definitely address the mental health issue within the community. Definitely, if we're going to talk about police officers and the way they interact with our community, we should definitely start with the mental health. It's true, police officers are not social workers. They're not psychiatrists. I mean, they're here to protect and serve. So let's start getting back into mentoring programs within the community for sure. Having officers come into these schools month to hold maybe a after school seminar with a couple of, I guess you would call them at-risk youth, letting them know, hey, we're not here to be your enemy. We're here pretty much protect you and your families. Like, we are not the enemy. Like I said, I think that's something that definitely needs to be addressed. I mean, we're only going to get as far as we allow us to communicate. So I guess definitely start having these conversations in school for sure, because eventually it trickles down to the parents. And then that's how everyone gets involved. I mean, the youth is the future. I think that's where the police need to start, is with the youth, and letting them know that what they see on TV and what they see on the internet isn't always what it is. And not every police officer is like that. So that's how I feel. And just, yeah, get the police more involved. It's not just a paycheck anymore. Get them more involved in the community.
Good point, Sabrina.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the questions, and we probably touched on it a little bit, what are some ways to improve transparency and accountability with regard to law enforcement? If you have any ideas.
Monthly reports, definitely monthly reports. Just saying like how much percentage the crime went down in the area, pretty much what groups were, I guess, what group of people were detained for the month, just things like that. I guess that, I mean, that's just my idea, I guess.
And I also, you know, what has to come down, I think, in the police force is the blue wall of covering up for each other's. It's finally, there's been some kind of some of it has been heading in that direction, where I think honest, good cops are getting tired of what the crooked ones are doing. So, and I think what they should start doing committees where the community are the one that judge the police, not police judging police because they're letting them go anyway. So, you know, so how can you fight against a system that's protecting them, and whether you're right or you're wrong, you're going to lose anyway? Because there's no winning. I don't see too many cases that we win against the police. You know, because it's the police protecting the police. And it's got to stop. That has to stop. Where communities have to now stop policing the police, and I'm not saying abuse the officers, you know, because you hate them, so you want to go crazy on them. No, but I think there should be officers and community members on the board. Like Sabrina said, you know, monthly, every 6 months reports. You know, if you got out of hand and there's something, the officer did something, get them some training. You know, and don't just start firing everybody, but judge each individual for what's being done. And I think we've gotten away from that, because now officers feel that they could just walk around and they don't got to answer to nothing. So they're protected by their own.
And I agree with you, Freddie, because back in my day, and like I said, my past still hunting me, and it just sucks because I'm trying to teach my kids how to be men and how to do right and whatnot. And obviously my past comes back and kind of bites them in the butt. But with that being said, with my experience, and I know that this could be looked up and they'll find it, I had experience with a cop for a while there, and he would show up to my job and he'd sit there, run my plates. Everybody would call me who had a scanner and be like, hey, what are you doing? I was like, I'm at work. And they're like, oh, they're running your plates. And I look up and it was the one officer. So my boss decides to record, because we kind of figure around the time that he would decide to come around one night. During my time, I've never, even growing up, I never thought that I would have to have physical contact with a police officer. I wasn't raised to do that. I wasn't. And that's what it came down to. That's what it came down to. One is still on the police force. The other one's option was to transfer. Nobody got disciplined. I got harassed all the time, left and right. I mean, you named it. I got followed and whatnot. I didn't react. I tried to stay calm. For the simple reason I stayed calm is because I'm not allowed to be racist. I just stay isolated and just in my community. My wife is white. To get more into detail, she's Swedish. I'm Puerto Rican, so we call our kids the Sweekins because they're mixed. So with that being said, I mean, I want the best. I just think like we need to discipline the police just as much as we discipline what they are labeled as. Because at one time I was labeled as a criminal, and I'm not. I just happened to make a mistake, and trust me, it was a mistake because I haven't made the same mistake over. I have not. I learned from it, but it just sucks that, like Freddie said, they protect each other. This cop harassed me for a whole year, and then for it to get attention, I had to have my boss send in a CD of him always showing up to my job site, and I had to physically put my hands on this police officer. Not just one, but two of them. Those were my choices. And like Freddie says, Freddie, I couldn't agree with you even more. They need to be held accountable to what they're sworn into.
Well, like I said, I went through that when my sons, when I moved here, my sons dressed nice, and the cops right away, this one cop thought my son was a drug dealer with his cousin because of the way they dressed with the leather jackets from New York City and all of that.
Right.
And my wife had to approach him and tell him who she was.
That's crazy.
And to tell them to stop harassing my son. Then one day he stops my son because his windows were tinted, like you said before, and he wanted to go inside the car. My son called my wife, and she came to where they were at. And once again, and she told him what she was going to do. He never harassed my kids again. But it's like we keep saying, we're not, people, like, I'm going to give you, like, I don't like talking politics a lot, but look what happens today. And then we talk about white privilege. Look what happened today in Washington. If that was a bunch of Hispanics or blacks doing that, you will hear a bunch of dudes getting killed. But what was done there? Nothing. And people say that there is no white privilege. Yes, there is. Big time. So why can't I have the same privilege you have? I pay taxes. I own my home. I drive cars. I respect. So why am I'm not respected? But you could go ahead and spit in my face, a white person, and I probably get arrested. Or maybe not. They'll be probably a little confused with me because I'm real light skinned. So they'll probably look at me and say, well, we don't know if he's white or Puerto Rican. What we gonna do with him? I don't know. But I'm just saying that. Why can't we be treated the same? I want the white dream. I want the American dream too. Why do I have to suffer to get it?
Right. Janira, did you want to say something? I see you took off your microphone.
Just going off of what Sabrina was saying, I think mentorship is very important. There was an experience at the high school because, I worked for Striders and I was the mentoring coordinator there. And one of the kids was really sick and he went downstairs. This was obviously before the virus. He went downstairs because his mom worked in the lunchroom to kind of ask, hey, I need something. I'm sick. Can I go home? And I guess the police officers jumped him for no reason. And he didn't know the language. He was not aware of how to explain himself to the officers. And so his sister came running upstairs to me and was like, my brother. And I was like, calm down. And she was crying and hysterical. And she's like, I'm like, okay, what's going on? And she explained what I just explained to you. And, there was no way because everything had already just happened. And automatically her mindset was like, the police officer, because there is no mentorship. There is no awareness of what are the strategies that the police officers are supposed to use in those circumstances. I think that, the police officers, they need, the cultural competency, but we also need it. we need to know their culture. We need to be aware of what are the strategies, you know? So maybe them having some type of strategic questions and being evaluated every 3 to 6 months, or having, you know, I know that there are programs that teach, you know, cultural competency, you know, and they can have it, you know, every 3 to 6 months, and make sure that who's teaching it is somebody of color, you know, not, and I'm not being rude or anything, not somebody that's white that's teaching you about who we are, you know? So yeah, mentorship is very important. I see it all throughout the high school. The kids just, I mean, I have kids that say, I don't want to be hooked on with I don't want to be paired with a police officer. And then you ask why, and it's like, they don't want to be like them. And even when I was a little girl, I remember going to JMP and there was a program and you had to dress for what you wanted to be when you grew up. And I dressed as a police officer, you know? And so it's like the way I used to see them and the way I see them now is very, very different. And I think there's something that has to happen, you know, even if they're being, now with the virus now, you know, obviously they can't be there, but even zooming in and being into a class and saying, hey, you know, is there anything you want to learn about us? You know, just being open to different views and different avenues of approaching the community.
I respect that. Definitely respect that. We don't realize that mentorship and recruitment go hand in hand.
Right.
They ask us how we can recruit more officers of color. It's mentorship. It starts with our youth. It starts from freshman year to senior year. Not even that, 7th middle school. Start getting the police officers. And you want to ask us how we can recruit more people of color to be police officers? It starts with mentorship.
Right.
Yeah, but you know what, Sabrina, with that mentorship program, I think there's a lot of, like Anna was saying, I think there's a lot of young people, Black, white, Hispanic, that don't want to be cops no more. Because they don't want to take that chance. Like the gentleman was saying before, they want to go home safe.
Right. But that's a whole, where do we start? Freddie, where do we start? Where do we start? Start building a bridge.
Yeah.
We
have to. I understand that, you know, we're having, when is the best time to start better than now? You know what I mean?
We have to change those mentalities. We have to, because in the future, we need our kids to have that awareness that the police officers are not here to hurt them, you know, that they're not here to not engage with them and not accept them for who they are. But we also have to be, you know, careful in how we approach that area. Right. Because they go home. They go home and there's a different approach on police officers because mom and dad, you know, are making wrong decisions, and the police officers, it's the police officer's fault. Mom went to jail. I'm seeing that my house got raided or something happened, and I don't like police officers now. But they don't understand, like, it was a decision of your mom, of your dad.
Right.
You know, can I jump in? I just wanted to jump in because I had said this, you know, at a few other stakeholder meetings, is that, you know, I think when Sabrina says, where do we start? I think it starts with us. You know, I was telling people, I said, we need to start mentoring our own communities to prepare them for these things. You know, because I remember when, you know, the Black Lives Matter and, you know, there was like 5 police officers opening, you know, and, you know, the community was demanding that, you know, people of color be placed in there, which is right. But who are we going to put up? Who are we going to, what is our community going to do? So it starts with us. I think we have to start mentoring our kids. We have to start, you know, not only in the law enforcement, healthcare, you know, teaching, you know, it's up to us to take them and start winging them into where we need them to be at, you know, because our kids will listen to us. You know what I mean? They will, you know, so it's up to us to start guiding them and doing programs like that. And, you know, and like Freddie was saying, we used to do some of that stuff back then, you know, and so it's, you know, and some of these things, it doesn't cost any money. It's just cost, you know, as you were saying, mentoring doesn't cost a dime, but your time, you know. And so when we get our kids, and I'm like, elementary school is when we need to start. We need to start our kids when they're babies, because our kids are so advanced, you know, like, because when you know, the things that they have at their fingertips now, you know what I mean? When I was there, you know, telephones were on the wall, you know what I mean? Now you got kids in elementary. I know, all this gray hair.
Right. We
you know?
definitely, yeah, we definitely.
But they have so much at their fingertips, you know, it's just like, you know, they're so advanced, you know, our kids are really advanced. And so, I just think it's up to especially the people of color community, that we need to do that. And, you know, even the civil service test, you know, back when, you know, Tamu's dad, you know, he and Betsy Perez used to have classes, you know, preparing people for how to take a civil service test, because even though the civil service test may be for a janitorial position, it has nothing to do with that. You know, what is on the test, you know, and boards, you know, we have to start developing our people to be on boards, because a lot of these people who are sitting on these boards and making all these money decisions, you know, where are we? You know, they're having these big parties about us, you know, and then they're wondering, once they have the party, where are we? Because that's not what we want. You know, what are you talking about? You know? And so I think that it is really.
You know what they also get away with here? That makes, like you're saying, that start off with these young kids and doing that. I brought this up at a committee meeting that they were having. There was all these doctors and psychiatrists and all of this there. And I'm listening to them about how they're going to handle children, you know, with discipline and things like this. But I didn't hear at one time, until I mentioned it, I didn't hear until one time, how you going to know what this kid is about if you never looked at the parents' record of them being in school? See, because what I do, my son's going to do. So they're going to follow you. Your kids would always follow what you do, whether it's good or bad, they're going to follow you. So when I brought that up, and I said, because I know it, I worked in the schools. I worked there for 15 years. And I seen kids that graduated that all I did all day was pick them up and take them down to the room downstairs in the basement where they had to stay there the whole day because they were being bad. And then when they graduated, I started seeing their kids at Bush School. When I started working at Bush School, I see these kids behaving bad. And one day I went to the front with the kid. And the mother saw me, said, "Freddie, how you doing?" I said, "Hey, what's up?" She said, "That's my kid." And I said, "Now I know where the apple fell." See, because I saw her struggle. And now she has 2 or 3 kids, right? She's mentally not stable. They don't live in the right place, right? And they're not eating right. You know, you see these kids, man, they get lunch and they want everybody's lunch. So that's where it starts. It's in the home. Like whoever said it before, we got to check the home, check the family. Did they graduate school? Why they dropped? Why they left school? What was the reason? And then from there, then you could see and judge her children and find out the way to help them. But we let a bunch of kids go between the woodwork. And we don't realize that, hey, did you forget you need to be the teacher to that kid's mother? And the problems you had with her? So where you think this is coming from? So instead of doing that, they don't do that. They just go by the book and send them to the principal, and they give them, give them an ice cream or a lollipop and tell them to sit down for a few minutes and go to the corner and you're going to be all right. No, the kid's not going to be all right. At the age of 18, he's either holding up a store, all right, or God forbid it, he's dead of an overdose. So I don't know.
Lots to discuss. I want to be cognizant of everybody's time because I did ask you to be on for an hour. So if there's one more thing anybody wants to say, short and sweet. And if not, we can end the call. But I really want to thank all of you for your very candid and honest responses. I think your communities and mine and Vicky's communities could have these conversations all day. And so, but it's important because, our demographics are changing and we need to understand that we may need to do things differently than we did years ago. So we need everybody's voice at the table. Is there anything
Tammy, can
anybody?
I just say one? I just wanted to say one thing. One thing I will say about the new police chief, some of the things that you have mentioned that he's looking at doing, like walking the beat. They've already started walking the beat. One of the things that I would hope that people who are on this call would get involved in, he's going to be doing a citizens academy, police academy. And so I think that that's something that, people on this phone call should be a part of. And I think, like even with the city, when the city has, boards and commissions, I think that people on this, phone call, you should be on those boards and commissions, because right now there is not a lot of color at City Hall. And there's not a lot of color in a lot of these places. And I just think that we need to get off the bench and we need to start getting more involved in these things. And, because we're all in it together, we're in this thing together. And so I just thank you all too for being a part of this. Ricky, you too, because you were last minute.
Yeah, Ricky.
I thank you.
I appreciate you guys for thinking of me, even at the last minute.
What I think that this little committee here, as I sat there and I listened, I am very proud how educated we sound. And why is it that we seem to forget each other's? Everybody in this committee that's sitting there has made a difference in some way, somehow in this community. Okay?
Amen. Amen.
So everybody that's sitting here in this room has a lot of juice with people that they know. I know Hannah does for sure. You can walk into someone's house and explain to them what we're doing, and they're going to listen to you because they know what you have done in this community, and they're going to trust you. So we got to get away from all the time doing this, and let's get busy, man. Right. If we're gonna do this, I don't want to join another committee that we're gonna go through the rah gangbusters stuff and nothing gets done. Because that's why I stopped doing what I was doing, because it wasn't going anywhere. If we're gonna get rah, then let's do this. Let's get the police involved. Let's get anybody that would like to get involved. And Vicky, like you said, there's no blacks in City Hall. As far back as I can remember, you were the only black one in City Hall.
That's it. And still a mentor.
As far back as I can remember, you were the only one. Okay,
Melody,
let's put it where it's supposed to be at. Let's put it where it's supposed to be at. There weren't any blacks in City Hall. There weren't no Latinos. There were no Latinos in City Hall. So they give us a token. And we're supposed to be all right with that. And the problem with that is that we become all right with that. So we were just happy with Vicky being there. Nobody else wanted to step up to the plate and say, hey, if she can do this, I want a part of this. And we settle. And as long as we settle, they back away from us. It's when we start making noise, it's where they start fearing us.
Freddie?
And I'm trying to say that in a good way, not in a bad way. When we start making noise, people fear what we can accomplish.
I try to be there, but it's a lot of regulations and tests that I want in every department, if it's possible, in our community, in public places or private places. I would like to see that we have a Hispanic in every department, helping our community in the translation or whatever they need and counseling, but it's another subject to discuss. So
I really thank you, Tamu, for having us here. It is really refreshing, and I don't say much, but I like to listen and internalize it. So this is very, very helpful for me. I've learned a lot of things, and I respect everyone's opinion, which is fabulous. With my wife and whatever I need to contribute, I could, step on board. And what Freddie was saying is very true. cutting the rah 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 and this and that, because in my lifetime I heard so much. What is it? A lot of talk and no action. Going back to the way in New York City we used to say things, and I think it's an opportunity. Is the first step, and like Vicky was saying that we have to step up and be example. And I'm trying to be one of them, and I hope that this will come to fruition.
Well, we probably will. We still have to go through next steps, but I can see whatever we come up with becoming not only just law enforcement, but a bigger initiative that really requires that the whole community become involved in this. Because
get the mayor on.
Well, the mayor's is he here? Oh, Mayor.
I think he's here. He's here. He's here. He's listening. He's listening.
He's there listening?
Yeah.
Well, then we can ask him that question. I'll ask him why we don't have more blacks and Hispanics on your committee, on your stuff there in City Hall. Can you answer that one?
Absolutely. Actually, since I've taken office, we've hired more people of color, both Hispanic and Black, than we have in the past several years. But the reality is we want more people to run for office. We want more people to join boards and commissions. That's what we need people to do. And if you're interested, reach out. We're asking people to be a part of that. And as Vicky had mentioned in the past, we hired 5 new officers. Half of them were minority folks that are current officers in other departments that we brought over to the city of Jamestown. So we're continuing to do that. That's a commitment we made. But we want people to run for office. We want people to join boards and commissions. Just tell me you're interested and I'll find a spot.
Well, when you say that you hire 5 officers and half of them are minorities, so what is it? 1 and 4 or?
We have I don't know offhand, but I think we have at least 2 Hispanic officers on the police force. We hired a African American officer on the police force. We hired one that has a sign language interpreter that can speak American Sign Language as well. And so we're continuing to look for additional officers as we go through this process.
Well, I think that's very nice of you, but I think what you should have done was go on the television on Time Warner and introduce these Black officers and these Hispanic officers to the community.
You know what, Freddie? You know what?
This is what we got.
You know what? Yeah, this is something that I remember when we had a Black officer, the community had the meet and greet. And so sometimes we got to stop waiting for the government to do stuff for us. And that's why I'm saying we got to do ourselves. That's why, we should have that information and we should have well, now you can't do it with the Rona and everything, but, but I remember when we had the first Black police officer, we had a reception for him, to introduce him to the community. And so that's why I'm saying that sometimes, we got to do for ourselves. You can't wait. It's nice for the government to do things for us, but we got to do we got to do for us.
How many people that are sitting here in this Zoom knew that it was a couple of Hispanics and 1 Black officer? Who knew that?
That's where we fail. That's where we fail at.
No, we didn't fail. The government failed for passing that out.
That's what I'm saying. The communication.
Yeah, we failed.
That's what I'm saying. That's where we failed. The lack of communications. That's where we should. That's where we should be saying, hey, here's this is what we've done. This is what the community's done. Even like when the mayor, he started this Human Rights Commission. How many people knew that there was a Human Rights Commission? I don't know. We have to do better with getting that information out to our community. And I agree. We failed the community by not letting what's what.
Freddie, I completely agree with you, and I think that we definitely want to do those things. And having meetings like this is exactly how we learned to do better as a government. This is a new administration that came in during the middle of a pandemic. From an administration that was there for 20 years, and you know what? You're absolutely right. This is stuff we should be doing. And because you're raising it, this is stuff we want to do. We want to be responsible to what all of our citizens are saying. And I appreciate you raising that issue.
Yeah, I don't want you to take it out of context. I just felt that I
You're
didn't know
right.
we got to his. I knew it was one.
Right. Right. You're right. You're right.
Mhm.
I didn't know.
I don't like saying that to you much, Freddie. I don't like to tell you you're right too much now.
I
You're
know
right.
you. I know you. Sometimes I gotta be right. Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna wrap it up. We're having a good time, but it's about an hour, and like I said, I want to be respectful of everybody's time. But you guys have given some really good. I think this is the first group that I've been in so far that really said, "What can we need to own some of this." I haven't been in all the groups, so I can't say that. But this is the first time that I've heard a group of people say this is also on us, and so I really want to commend you for saying that, because I don't think we've heard a whole lot of that from other stakeholder groups. I don't know if Jeff and Vic can weigh in, but that's encouraging that you guys recognize that it's incumbent
I gotta
upon.
leave because I gotta get some meds.
Okay,
Bye, guys.
Okay.
And I can't wait to
Thank
do
you,
this
Freddie.
again.
Thank you, Freddie.
so
You gotta love them. You gotta love them. You gotta love them.
Freddie's
Yes.
right?
Yes.
You can't help but love them.
So if everybody's okay, like I said, we recorded this, and now we're going to start going through some of the
Let me turn this off.
some of the recordings
Yes,
and kind of pulling out some themes that we've heard. It may require that we circle back to you guys for some ideas and some suggestions, but this is kind of like the first step. So thank you so much for your time tonight. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you,
For
guys.
your time.
Oh,
Thank
happy Three Kings Day.
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Happy
Thank you. Thank you. Have a good night, guys.
Bye-bye.
Have a good evening. Take care.
Have a good night.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.